Live from Smitty1.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Take a lap.
What is going on, good people? We are talking Fantasy Football 2022 voicemail show, yet another voicemail show. You guys are dropping voicemails like crazy. My phone is going nuts, and I appreciate every single one of you. We'll be talking a little quarterback convo today. Maybe some dynasty and redraft, where we draw a line between liking a guy in redraft and liking him in dynasty. Where's Russell Wilson in redraft versus dynasty? We're going to break down quarterbacks on today's show, but we're also hitting them voicemails, and we're going to do it live. Let's go with Tariq.
Hey Smitty, it's Tariq. Happy Friday. With all the offseason moves that took place during trades and free agency, who do you think are the two teams that are going to represent in the NFL Super Bowl in the 2022 season? Thanks, pal.
Yeah, honestly, Broncos and the Chargers in the AFC, the best two teams, I think, given that Hill is now in Miami, that definitely knocks down the Chiefs a peg, in my opinion. So I think had Hill stayed, we would have had like a crazy battle between, those three teams, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos, and then you'd have everybody complaining about why the Raiders aren't in my top three in the AFC West. But the Chiefs took them out of the running. Like, they're going to be a playoff team. They're going to grab one of the three wild card spots. I truly believe Mahomes is that good. But without Tyreek Hill, there's not going to be continuity. There's going to be a lot of missteps, I think, along the way. There's going to be some tough losses. There's going to be some struggles. They may struggle to even make the playoffs, but I think they will ultimately grab a playoff spot. But are they a multiple round winning playoff team? Right now, no. If they draft Treylon Burks, or they grab, let's say Garrett Wilson ends up getting drafted in KC, they move up, or whatever the case may be. Maybe Christian Watson gets selected by the Kansas City Chiefs, and they get a replacement they can groom. In 1 to 2 years, maybe things look very different. I mean, rookie wide receivers are built differently nowadays. So, Super Bowl predictions. Let me put this on screen here so that the replay value is on point here. Great question. So, Chargers, Broncos. I mean, obviously, the Bengals improving the offensive line need to be in the conversation. I think all three of those are my top teams battling it out for those two spots in the AFC Championship game. So whether it's depending on the seeding, it could be the Buffalo Bills versus the Bengals, and then you got the Broncos and the Chargers. Ultimately, I'm going to say Buffalo. God, this is tough. It's those four teams. Like, let's go to the board. Let's take this to the board because it's gonna get tough. I'm gonna start fumbling around because it's hard to choose. AFC. Ultimately, it's gonna be the Bills and the Bengals. It's gonna be the Chargers and Broncos. I mean, you could argue any one of the four. Some will say the Raiders. Some will say the Chiefs will still survive. You could throw out other teams if you want. Ultimately, it depends on the seeding, obviously. But I think it's probably going to be Herbert. And I want to say it's going to be Russell Wilson and then Broncos, but the Bills are so tough. One of these two teams is facing the Bills in this NFC Championship game. I don't know which one of these two teams is facing the Bills. That's how I see it right there. And the NFC, I mean, it's more wide open. You've got the Packers likely to make the playoffs, but are they going to be an elite team without Devontae Adams? You have the Niners being mismanaged by this organization, letting players go, holding on to Jimmy G, tying up $27 million so that they can what? For what? Trade value that's not there. They're dropping the ball in San Francisco. I think Trey Lance is so good that he could potentially get this team in a rhythm if he's fully unleashed. And it's tough to say if he'll be held back by Shanahan. Will Shanahan give him a fair shot at the starting job, or will Shanahan come in and do something unfair and plug Jimmy G in, who's still on the roster, which is a debacle in San Francisco. So ultimately, the Rams are the team to beat. Like if I'm saying on this NFC side, if I'm saying there's a team playing the Rams, because the Rams are certainly going to have one of those spots, in my opinion. The Rams are getting richer. The defense is getting better. It's crazy. The offense is even getting better. I think Allen Robinson is a good wide receiver to plug in for an injured, recovering Robert Woods. Bobby Trees wouldn't be healthy in 2022. I'm not buying Bobby Trees. Unfortunately, we love Bobby Trees on the show. We love him. But he can't be relied upon in 2022 because he's coming back from a torn ACL. And Allen Robinson's a fantastic replacement. Like this Rams team is hungry. They're aggressive. They're not letting up. And so for me, it's the Rams for sure. The question is it San Francisco? Is it Dallas? And don't at me. Dallas has a ton of firepower. Is it the Cardinals? Is it the Green Bay Packers? If I'm missing somebody that you want in there, throw it out. But ultimately, it's the Rams against the Chargers or the Bills. Or, the Bills could end up facing the Broncos. That's how I see it walking into the early part of the offseason here. But Smitty, good for the locker room. What's good for... Oh, you're just joking. Jimmy G. Just a mess. Jim.
Hey, Smitty, should we be paying more attention to Gabe Davis in Buffalo? I'm not saying he's going to be a top 10 or top 20 wide receiver or anything like that, but I feel like guys like Russell Gage or Valdez-Scantling are getting more hype than Gabe Davis, who the last game I saw him in was a 4-touchdown game in the playoffs. The Bills didn't re-sign Emmanuel Sanders. They didn't re-sign Cole Beasley. I really think he could take a step up with one of the best quarterbacks in the league. What are your thoughts?
I like Gabe Davis. I think Gabe Davis has a ton of upside. I don't think he's being overlooked. I think we haven't talked about him here on the show, not because he's not good, not because your boy Smitty wants to neglect him, just that, he hasn't come up. There are a lot of bigger things to talk about. But you're right. Like, we need to discuss Gabe Davis. Why hasn't he been brought up lately? It's just hasn't been flashy news. We've had Watson and big, huge trades, but I think now that things are dying down, comments like this are going to trickle in. Like, hey, let's talk about Albert O. Let's talk about Gabe Davis. Let's talk about some breakout potential guys. Albert O, tight end for the Denver Broncos. Going to see a lot of touchdown opportunities, Albert O, and they've announced that they're going to use him as a wide receiver part of the time and tight end. They're going to run him out wide. He's not going to be in tight all the time. This guy Albert O is going to be a monster. I don't mean to derail your question there, Jim, but I had to plug Albert O a little bit there, and he's been brought up before, and I've said, yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. It's shaking out good because the team wants to use Albert O, and being on board the Albert O train, and it's April 1, but we've been talking about him a couple days now. In March is not late. We're not that late to the party, okay? But Albert O looks fantastic. Gabe Davis is in a similar vein that he is not thought to be one of the top guys, right, at the wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 in fantasy position. He's a excellent wide receiver 3 with upside for more. Maybe he can get into fantasy wide receiver 2 output, but you can't expect it. Like, you need to draft him as a third wide receiver. And, he could be a 10 TD guy and 1,200 yards, so he can certainly earn wide receiver 3 and flex value. And I don't think you got to overpay for him. I think he, by default, will fall in the flex or wide receiver 3 value range. Really like him.
Hey, Smitty, can you talk a little bit more about your strategy about drafting really good players this year who are going to miss some time early in the year? Guys like Alvin Kamara or Chris Godwin, who we know once they're back from injury or back from suspension, they're going to dominate. How do you value guys like that, and where do we draft them? Because we know they're going to have value.
I mean, that's a good question. Watson will be another name. So we'll say like Chris Godwin, Kamara, Watson, guys that will miss time, maybe. Guys that will miss time. It's a good question. Every one of them we got to value case by case. We can't like throw a blanket, statement on any of these things or a blanket strategy. Godwin, probably won't. He may or may not miss time. I don't think he'll miss time, but will he be 100% at all this year? Maybe at the end of the year, but certainly not loving Chris Godwin's value in 2022, given the price he'll probably have to pay, because people talk about him as if he's not coming back from an ACL tear. People are like, Godwin, he's going to be phenomenal this year. You got, you got AB gone. Godwin's going to be recovering from a torn ACL all year long. He will not be close to 100% the entire year, because not only is he not like just rehabbing, right? He's coming back within a calendar year. He's rushing back to try and get ready, and he'll probably get back. But when you're playing football on Sundays, practicing during the week, he'll take a lot of days off. You'll see Godwin regular days off all year long to recover, because you get swelling. His knee's not ready to go full go, but he's going to do it. Athletes aren't ready to go full go less than like 6 months to 8 months from an ACL tear, but they do it anyway, and they get away with it by resting during the week, but they're not 100%. So Godwin, I just end up never drafting Godwin, because my line in the sand from where he flips from avoid, there's the line in the sand, he flips to a good value. It's too far down. He gets drafted before I'm ever put in that position. So Godwin's pretty much an avoid. Kamara's an interesting one, because Kamara, he could be suspended for half of a year. He could be suspended the entire season. He could miss 1 or 2 games. He could miss 4 games. He could miss no games. They could literally wait on this thing, and then we just walk into week 1 going, what's going on? Pending this, pending that. Charges get dropped. Who knows what's going to happen? So Kamara is a risky bet, but maybe not in round 2 in like one league. I don't think I scoop him up in multiple leagues, because I don't want Kamara to take out multiple seasons when it's pretty clear there is a potential, like a very, very likely problem here, okay? He could escape it, and for that, I want one share when he falls to like the 12, 13, or maybe the end of the second round. When we mock draft, we're also worried about somebody saying, oh, he took Kamara, like he falls to like the 3rd round. And so, that's crazy. 4th round, 3rd round, everybody's scared to be the one guy in the mock draft to take him. He's not falling to the 3rd round. I think he's fallen into the 2nd, and I take the gamble one time in my draft. I take the gamble at least one time in one of my drafts, in one of my many leagues that I do. And I'm not taking him ever. That one time's not going to be in round 1 or at the top or middle, like maybe at 12, 13 at the turn. That's where I maybe take him. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey. Like, I value McCaffrey and Kamara very much on almost a level playing field in terms of like the value and the risk and everything. I maybe draft Kamara a tiny bit higher, but I think, or McCaffrey a tiny bit higher, because he's not guaranteed to miss time. Whereas I feel like Kamara feels not guaranteed, but pretty close to guaranteed to miss some kind of time. So CMC at 12-13, you could in one league go Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara back to back if that fell away, and to say, here's my gamble league, here's my all-in balls to the wall, let's see what happens league. Like that I could do. Guys like Watson, probably missing at least 6 to 8 games. It could be the entire season. He could be put on the exempt list. We don't really know. It's kind of crazy, this exempt list situation. To my knowledge, he can't technically be put on the commissioner exempt list, but if he's violating personal conduct policy and that's determined and handed down, there's a potential he could be thrown on the commissioner exempt list at that point. We'll get more clarification from one of the in-house The Fantasy Football Show attorneys. So we'll get Tony the Tiger on here as soon as we can. Tony, if you're watching, DM me on Instagram right now, pal. We'll get you on here and we'll talk about that. Case by case, bro. Case by case. Good question, though. Tariq.
Hey, Smitty. With Bruce Arians stepping down at the helm and Todd Bowles taking over for the Bucs, what's your thoughts on the Bucs in the 2022 season?
Bucs in 2022. I'm not worried about Arians stepping down too much because this thing's not going to change much. You know, Brady knows what he's doing. He knows how to continue on. And Arians even said, even though he's kind of joking a little bit, that he didn't really do much. Look, Tom Brady can run this whole operation himself. You know, I'm not worried about a coach stepping away from Tom Brady and Tom Brady not knowing what he's going to do. If anything, I worry a little bit about the wide receiver core and the fact that Godwin's hurt and that you have a new receiver, Gage, coming in, and you have AB out. Kind of felt like that's when the team started to fall apart, when the wide receiver crew was kind of altered. You know, threw a little chaos into the mix. But I believe with an offseason of prep, with Gage coming in, Fournette re-signed, no Ronald Jones, I'm pretty excited about Tampa Bay being one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the NFC. We were talking about, I'm sorry, when I was going over this, I didn't put Tampa Bay here. Of course, Tampa Bay. It's going to be most likely Tampa Bay or San Francisco, in my opinion, if they can get everything together, if they can solve this problem. So Tampa Bay would face the Rams. Rams most likely at this point would be the NFC champion, but I'm sorry if I didn't write Tampa Bay there. Tampa Bay is definitely in the mix there. Smitty was omitting something there on you. But Bucs are definitely top 2 to 4 in the NFC. You know, and it's a cakewalk compared to, you know, not that San Francisco, the Arizona, Dallas, Green Bay are all cakewalk, you know, opponents, but when you compare the situation, it's going to be a lot harder for one team to repeat each year as the AFC champion than it would be for, let's say, Tampa Bay to be back-to-back in 2022 and 2023 NFC champions, Rams to be back-to-back 2022 and 2023 NFC champions. A lot easier path, but still tough teams. Like an NFC team could win the Super Bowl. The Rams could beat whoever advances here. The Bucs could beat whoever advances here. It's just an easier path to get to this spot right here than it is to get to the spot right here. So the Bucs are in good shape. Not too worried about the Arians departure. It's not concerning me.
Hey, Smitty, with Bruce Arians stepping down. Hey, Smitty, do you think Cortland Sutton is going to be a W2 or a W3 this year? Cortland Sutton is going to be a W2 or a W3 this year?
Cortland Sutton, definitely W3, easily. Wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3. I would say he's going to definitely flirt with wide receiver 2 numbers. I think it comes down to, does Judy step up big and consume a ton of the number 1 targets, or does Russell Wilson kind of find his way through both of them and they rotate? Tough to say. I mean, if Judy stays healthy, they're already working together. The rapport seems amazing. Judy's a top 5 route runner in the NFL right now as it is today. So it's tough for me to not say Judy's the number 1 in Denver. Judy will be top 10 in the NFL for wide receivers. Sutton won't be, but Judy gets banged up. You know, we don't know how well the rapport is going to develop between Sutton and Wilson. It could be instant. And so for that reason, I'm going to say there's a shot that he is a high-end wide receiver too, but I give that shot more to Judy. And I don't think there's definitely a world where I could see both of them being top 15. You know, so definitely something that we got to check out and see. Patrick's still involved. KJ Hamler's coming back from the ACL, but probably the most talented guy after Jerry Jeudy physically. I know Sutton's good. I know Sutton, everybody wants him to be the DK Metcalf, and I'm not saying he can't be. I like Sutton. Sutton could be the I'm admitting it right here. Sutton could be the number one wide receiver on the Denver Broncos. It depends on Russell Wilson's rapport with him, which we don't know much about. We know that him and Jeudy have been working out together. We want to see footage of Sutton. Sutton could become a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy football. I'm admitting that right now. But the odds are probably with Jeudy to be that if he's healthy. Patrick Hamler and Courtland Sutton are going to fight for that number 2 spot. Sutton will have the huge advantage, and if Jeudy ever gets banged up, Sutton could go to the moon. I'm going to say excellent wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2. Jeudy is a high-end wide receiver 2 that you don't want to buy at wide receiver 1 value, but Jeudy could be a wide receiver 1 at the wide receiver 2 cost. So like round 5, round 6 would be perfect environment for drafting Jeudy. Round 6, 7 for Courtland Sutton.
Hey, Smith, it's Tariq again. I play in a auction keeper redraft league in Yahoo. I have the option to keep either Najee Harris or Elijah Mitchell or Cooper Kupp. Amongst the 3, who do you think I should keep for the 2022 season? Depending on what their value is going into 2022. In our league, we keep the percentage of league in Yahoo. I have the option to keep either Najee Harris or Elijah Mitchell or Cooper Kupp. Amongst the 3, who do you think I should keep for the 2022 season? Depending on what their value is going into 2022. In our league, we keep the percentage of what Yahoo values each player, and based on that, that's a percentage taken off, less $200, and the remaining balance, we have 14 players to pick up for our draft. So I just wanted to know your thoughts on what I should do going into these 2022 season with my keepers. Thanks.
I'm a little confused as to what the values would be. If the values are very close, then I probably lean with the guy I just draft first. I draft Najee Harris before I draft Cooper Kupp right now, but that changes with the wind. It really does. I mean, had Najee Harris been given Russell Wilson or A-Rod, he would be argued sharing the number 1 overall ADP spot with JT. But because Javonte got Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers stayed in Green Bay, and we got Mitchell Trubisky he's already there. We haven't heard anything about him though. He's a very quiet man. I don't know if the dude's even throwing a football yet. Like, can't he even throw anymore? So, I don't know how I feel about Najee being better than last year. I think there's a shot. There's a chance he could be better. There's a chance the offense, because they're touching on the offensive line, they're trying to make this thing better. I think it will be better for him. So, like here's my thinking. Maybe you're not in red zone territory a whole lot more. Maybe a little bit. Maybe you get 4.2 yards per carry instead of 3.9. So, I think Zachary's saying he saw Courtland Sutton footage before Jeudy. Well, it didn't get much hype. The Jeudy footage was all over the place. I don't know how much better Najee will be, but that still warrants like top 5 overall value. You know what I'm saying? Like Kupp because he's a wide receiver and because of the scarcity of the running back position, which never drives me to make a pick. But when all things are equal and Najee Harris and Cooper Kupp are very equal to me, I kind of lean running back, and I also wonder if there's a little bit of difference in value for you. And I don't know. You just clarify that point for me. But like, what is the exact difference in the value? And on top of that, Cooper Kupp is older, and if you can keep Najee continuously each year, then there's more keeper value in Najee than there will be in Kupp. So I would lean Najee overall. So you might have to clarify a couple things for me. Ryan Wade, you were up, son.
Schmitty.
Ryan.
What's going on? Happy Friday, all. My question pertains to the AFC West. Who do you think is going to take it this year with such a deep division? Thanks again.
Thank you, Ryan. And I already covered this. Obviously, you didn't know that, but we're going to go back over to the board. And I have the Chargers beating the Broncos, or maybe these two face off, depending on how the seeding is. But Bills and Chargers or Bills and Broncos are my pick. I so badly want to pick the Bengals, who did improve the offensive line already. so they're looking good. But this is just a tough group of 4 teams. Throw in the Chiefs, throw in the Raiders, throw in more teams. I mean, it's going to be tough to make the Super Bowl. It's going to be tough to make the Final Four. It's going to be tough to make the playoffs in the AFC. You're talking about the Bills, and then if the Bills make the playoffs and win the division, what happens with Miami? What happens with New England in this division? The Bills are going to basically, by winning the division, potentially knock the Dolphins and the Patriots with probably 10, 11 wins each out of the playoffs, because there are only 3 wild card spots. And my guess is that the Broncos or Chargers, or both of them, let's say the Chiefs won the division, then the Chargers and Broncos would both grab 2 of the 3, the only 3 wild card spots. Or if the Chargers win the division, the Broncos and the Chiefs will grab 2 of the 3 wild card spots. That means between the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Colts, the Patriots, all these teams are fighting for 1 wild card spot, because in my opinion, the AFC West is going to grab at least 2 of those wild card spots. So it's going to be absolute madness. And I'm sorry I haven't said Matt Clamp was first in the building today. Appreciate you, notification squad. Spacula was second. Vamp was third. Phone got stolen last week, so I haven't been a notification gang person. Well, Vamp, we're glad to have you back. James, Kenny, Gary, Mealy, Jonathan, Tariq, Jeff, appreciate all you here. James, you guys rock. Spacula with a super chat. I'm sorry, Spacula. Smitty has decided to give his channel to Doug. Nice April Fool's joke there, Spacula. Appreciate you dropping the super chat. And now my co-host, Doug. Just kidding. Maybe we should name the board Doug. Let's name the board Doug. Doug. Let's go over to Doug. Oh, Doug. Are you excited about Mike Williams if you believe Herbert is an MVP candidate? Yes, I am. I'm excited about Mike Williams. I think, especially if like Keenan Allen gets banged up. Mike Williams had an amazing start to the 2021 season. People have already forgot. Josh? Oh, no.
Hey, Smitty, Silver.
Silver.
Hey, man, I was kind of looking at Dallas's roster, and it's kind of looking like if Zeke can stay healthy, it might be like Zeke and Pollard might be kind of like a Chubb and Hunt this year, because they don't have a whole lot of offensive weapons. It's really just C.D. Lamb and Schultz and then the 2 running backs. So there might be enough for both of them to be useful this year. What do you think?
Yeah, good question, Silver. A good comment. We're talking about Zeke and Pollard. So my thinking here is this: I don't find myself wanting to draft. If I could just grab this. Come on. I don't find myself grabbing Elliott unless I'm going 0 RB. Like, I'm starting to really like Aaron Jones and Dillon in a 0 RB approach. You go wide receiver, quarterback. And sometimes Aaron Jones falls to the 4th round, sometimes he doesn't. So you might have to go wide receiver, Aaron Jones, and then get Herbert as your quarterback, which will work fine. So kind of picture the team looking like this. And you can tell me, we'll go to Doug real quick. Well, if we sit here and go, let's say we go Hill, Adams, and then we go Aaron Jones, Herbert, and then I don't know if A.J. Dillon will actually... Oh, yeah, that's right. I don't know what I'm doing. Herbs, and then A.J. Dillon in this round. That's not bad. Like, does anybody disagree with this approach right here? Hill, Adams, Aaron Jones, Herbert, A.J. Dillon, you get Schultz or whoever. Like, that's a pretty nice little. And then I don't know if you could even go. I don't even know if A.J. Dillon will go later. I mean, ETN would be amazing in this range. I'd love to get ETN to pair with Aaron Jones. So ultimately, your team would look like this. You got Herbie, your running backs, A. Jones, ETN, you've got Hill, you got Adams, and like Freiermuth. Sorry about the writing there. Doug was in the way. I'm trying to write. Doug's in my way. Herbert, Jones, ETN, Hill, Adams, Freiermuth. That's a pretty good team. That's a pretty good way to build. I don't mind that at all. So, I know the question was about Zeke. Similar to that, in similar fashion, I kind of like Zeke and Pollard in the same way. Like, maybe you take. I don't know if I like Zeke in the third round. So maybe this is the approach where you can get Josh Allen and get Zeke in this round. So you get Allen here, and then Zeke here, ETN here, and Pollard here. So Hill, Adams, Josh Allen, Zeke, ETN, Pollard. That's a pretty good team too. What do you guys think of that team? So I like Zeke in that capacity. Is there a potential year of Zeke where he's a top 5 to 10 running back for a whole year? Probably not. Could he be a top 8 to 12 running back for 10 games? Probably not. Probably not. I think he's going to look good for like 4 games and then we don't even hear from him. I don't know. That's kind of the way I'm feeling. Zeke right here in the 4th round, I'm kind of okay with it if you back yourself into a corner, but I find myself just trying to avoid it. Like, would I rather do this? Let me just back out of this. I don't even think I want to go Zeke. Let's keep Pollard. Let's go with I think I'd just rather do this. I'd rather go with Mitchell, Herbert, ETN, Pollard. Like, that's just a better team. That's just a way better team. Herbert, Mitchell, ETN, Adams, Hill. Like, why even go the Zeke route? You can take a different route. That's just a much better team. No Zeke. It's just not worth it. You can work around Zeke better. You can draft an ETN and feel better. You can draft a rookie running back and feel better. No, Zeke, I just officially disapprove Zeke.
You've just been Smitty disapproved.
No Zeke. No Zeke, no more. We're not going with Zeke. We just proved it. Doing a little mock-up, we proved that Zeke, you can work around Zeke. You don't need to resort to Zeke. Mitchell in round 3 is falling all the time. ETN in 4 or 5. Much better than going Elliott. It's just much better. Why go down the road of Zeke? Stay away.
Hey, Smitty, playing redo on the 2020 draft, if instead of Kinlaw, the 49ers took either Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, or Justin Jefferson, who do you think makes the best 1-2 duo combined with Debo? Thanks.
I mean, that's like a trick question because, like, do I want Jefferson in San Francisco? There's not enough balls to go around. No. But, like, who would have been the best player to draft? Justin Jefferson. Like, come on. But could he become the guy he is now in that cluster of talent? No. So, like, from a team perspective, Justin Jefferson. From a fantasy perspective, are you out of your mind? I'd never approve JJ going.
You've just been Smitty disapproved.
Into a cloudy situation. Jeudy would have been pretty good. That wasn't a great pick, to be honest. It might work out this year. We'll see if Kinlaw's worth it, but But no way do I want the Niners consuming a talent that you can't even get 80% out of them in that offense.
What's up, Smitty?
Tony?
Little running back action today. We got Giovanni Bernard going back to the Tampa Bay Bucks and Marlon Mack going to Houston. What do we think about this? Does that hurt Fournette, or is Fournette just going to be a beast this year and take that offense?
Good questions. I would say, in general, Fournette is going to be the guy. I don't think he's going to lose any action to Bernard. I think Bernard was brought there because Tom Brady did want him there. Tom Brady did want some PPR action and some good hands, so they did bring Bernard in previously for that reason. So I think he's a good fit. Like, look, you got Ronald Jones gone, but Bernard can't shoulder starter touches or even close to it for extended period of time. So he will for sure not be able to be Fournette. Fournette will beat him out because Fournette can handle and shoulder the workload. Bernard can't. Not at this point in his career. But for 1 to 2 games, like let's say Fournette goes down, I think Bernard would be good for 2 or 3 games. Okay? But Fournette is the guy. Don't worry about it. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Punch it. Wipe your feet at the door. Hit the like button. Smash it.
Hit that subscribe button if you're new.
Hit it.
And wipe your feet at the door.
Wipe it. Wipe them. Wipe them. Appreciate you being here. So don't worry about it. But Marlon Mack, like, no. Like, that offense is going to struggle to begin with. Marlon Mack has always struggled with injuries. Here's another Achilles injury guy. Marlon Mack tore his Achilles. Has never returned to form. Never returned to form. He never will. He's not going to be a top 10 running back or top 15 running back ever again. The man not only tore his Achilles and lost his explosiveness, but he doesn't have an opportunity to climb. And who are the other running backs on that roster? It's not like there's nobody there. Let's see. Marlon Mack. Mack attack. Let me pull up the depth chart. Nothing's loading for me. Nothing's loaded for me. Okay, so the depth chart, let me paste it on here so you guys can see it. It's not that bad. Looks like David Johnson's no longer on the team. I did wonder about that with David Johnson. I mean, it's actually not that crowded anymore. Man, they let a lot of guys go. David Johnson's gone. It's actually not that crowded. Rex Burkhead is probably the best running back on the roster. He heeds the road. Rex, you heed the road, pal. Scotty Phillips, Royce Freeman, Dare, Marlon Mack. But Marlon Mack is the same as all those guys. Like, looking at that, you almost want to say, okay, well, maybe he can't go. Oh, he's Marlon Mack. It's Burkhead's show. Rex Burkhead's not a bad ad. Go check your Dynasty waiver wire. Make sure Rex Burkhead isn't out there. All right, next one up. That was Tony. Appreciate you, Tony. Caden.
What's going on, Smitty?
Caden.
So, now that Ronald Jones has ended up in the Chiefs, do you think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is basically Clyde Edwards-Despair at this point? Like, is he done? Is he ever going to have any relevance again?
Yeah. I think he can. Is he at risk of why can't I adjust anything today? Here we go. There we go. Boom. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Here's the thing. I know everybody wants to clown on Clyde and say he's garbage. He'll never return to form. And what was form? Week 1? He'll never return to the college form that he had where he's, electrifying and everything. But here's the thing. That Chiefs offense is very, very complicated. There's no way Ronald Jones comes in and has a grasp on everything. It's very complex. It's probably taken Clyde from the beginning until now to get to this point where he can consume everything about the offense. So Clyde has a big advantage over Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones has been a journeyman for a reason. He's not the answer. If anything, if you're a Clyde believer, this is actually good news that Ronald Jones lands there and they don't draft some rookie like Rashad White, who I would like in that situation, but I don't know that I would like him there in some respects because you don't know if they're going to use him. But like in theory, it sounds like a great place for him to be, but I don't know if they're going to use the running backs properly. Without Tyreek Hill, you got to wonder, will Reed go back to a more heavy run attack and approach? Maybe he does. So CEH, I'm not against CEH. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire has very, very, very decent value. Because you're not going to pay, you're not going to have to pay anywhere close to, let's see here. Is Williams still on the roster? See, Williams is not on the roster anymore. They could bring him back. But let me put this depth chart up. And Derek Gore's got some value. Derek Gore, I like a little bit. But, like, look, this is not a tough running back stable to climb. I know everyone's natural instinct's going to be like, hate on Clyde. But Ronald Jones, Derek Gore, Knox, Clyde is in prime position to grab a lion's share of the work. And given everyone hates Clyde right now, there's nothing but upside. The risk is entirely...
Fake this, boys!
So don't, I don't know if they're going to bring back Darryl, but he's not on the roster now.
Smitty, just making my morning coffee here. Just wondering who you touching with the Packers offense. Do you think A.J. Dillon is going too high? Do you think Aaron Jones has got a good value? Are they going to be a run game next year? Are they going to draft a rookie receiver, and then you're going to look at taking them? Are you touching Aaron Rodgers or Tunyon? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks.
So Packers players, very good question. I think I'm staying away from Aaron Rodgers at his asking price. Do I take him 2-3 rounds later than I would have? Yes. Do I like Lazard? Absolutely. Do you know how there are tons of vacated targets, like more than you can even count. And Lazard is going to be his trusted wide receiver one. Granted, they'll probably draft a Burks or a Drake London or a Christian Watson, who I will like. Whatever rookie lands in Green Bay, I'm going to like. But it's going to take them time. And Rodgers doesn't always show a rookie a lot of love right away. So Lazard is going to feast, man. I love Lazard. Lazard's the big winner right now. I love Lazard. So go ahead and scoop up Lazard everywhere you can, because he's not going to cost more than I don't know, probably let me see where his ADP is. I don't know. It's wide receiver 3 at the earliest. Like, you will not have to pay anything close to high-end wide receiver 3 value for Lazard. He could produce wide receiver 2 numbers. Don't draft him there. Don't expect it. But I love Alan Lazard. He's the number 1 wide receiver to Aaron Rodgers right now. He's going to have a monster year. He could have 1,200 yards and like 10 TDs. He really could. I love Lazard. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, they're tough to gauge where to take in a draft. Like I explained, did I erase it? No, I didn't. If you go with a Hill-Adams approach, I love Dillon and Aaron Jones. I should have left Herbert there. So you take Herbert in round 4. You take A. Jones in round 3. You go wide receiver. But you can't. You got to draft Aaron Jones in the perfect situation like that. You go 0 running back and you make him your very inexpensive RB1. You cuff him to Dillon. You have a good little combo. Past that, like, I'm not looking at Green Bay the same. It's a tough situation to rank.
Thoughts on Rashad Penny and his breakout last season?
just wondering your thoughts on how he could fare in 2022.
Thank you, Justin, for the question. Rashad Penny, how am I liking Rashad Penny? Not real excited about him right now, given that there's no quarterback. How do you get into the red zone? How do you live near the red zone at all? Like you were having troubles as it was offensive line-wise, moving the chain-wise, consistency-wise with Russell Wilson under center. Now you got to take Penny's red zone opportunities away. He's got to do everything by himself. If he's going to score a touchdown, he's got to literally go 40 yards himself to get it, or he might get 1 or 2 on the year. But this is not a 10 TD potential running back right now, unless Seattle does something big. They could bring in Baker, who's not an amazing quarterback, but at least he moves the football down the field. If they're down and at least they're throwing the ball and trying to utilize him a little more, I like Penny more if Baker's in town. A little bit more. But do I like Penny like I would have if Russell stayed? No. Penny was an excellent running back 3 with upside for running back 2 numbers. Now he's a running back 3 with maybe the ability to bust. So take him as a flex, I guess, but I'm not excited about his situation. His situation is like dog crap right now.
Hey, Smitty, who do you think could be this year's James Conner, where you could snag him into the maybe 9th or 10th round, and he's going to rack up a bunch of touchdowns and, be pretty fantasy viable where the value's at?
This year's James Conner. I think Tony Pollard fits the bill. Let me pull up my sleeperu.com rankings and just kind of... Actually, let me go to my rankings and just kind of scan, and I'll just start calling out names like I'm doing a sermon here. I'm just gonna scream it out. Names left and right. Okay, here we go. Pollard is probably the one that comes to mind most right now. I love rookies, so assuming Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker are not on the table here because they're bigger name guys, but like a Rashad White, Michael Carter. He's doubted, but he's also so it depends where he falls. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who we just talked about. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's in a great situation. They lost Tyreek Hill. He could absorb some receptions as well, but they also might shift it back a little bit more toward a balanced attack. And I just showed you the depth chart. There's nobody there for Clyde Edwards-Helaire to compete with. So I know everybody wants to clown and hate on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's so fun to be like, that's not it. That's the Texans depth chart. It's so fun to clown on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But look, Ronald Jones is not a competitive piece here to worry about. Derek Gore, a little bit. Cuff Derek Gore and Clyde together. I don't even cuff Ronald Jones, to be honest. Maybe that changes, but if I draft Clyde, I'm drafting Derek Gore. But because Hill's out of the picture, one of these 3 running backs, probably Clyde or Derek Gore, then Ronald Jones in that order, will probably eat way more than people expect. So I really think Clyde's going to be a value this year. James Cook, depending on where that rookie lands, this is Dalvin Cook's brother. Gaskin is 3rd on the depth chart, but the best running back, in my opinion, on the Miami Dolphins roster. I like Mostert a lot, but he's injury prone. And Jarrett Patterson for the Washington Commanders. Mostert for the Dolphins. Trey Sermon, very deep. If Mitchell gets hurt. Rex Burkhead, we just talked about, it's kind of a crafty guy, I guess. Kyron Williams, the rookie running back, who knows where he lands. Alexander Madison, obviously, unless they draft a rookie running back like James Cook to back up his brother, Dalvin. Those come to mind, bro. Those are the ones that come to mind. Corey! That was a short one, Corey. Here's another one from Corey.
Hey, Smitty. Just wondering where you think Antonio Gibson's dynasty value is. I was thinking of either trading him or Dobbins to try to get some picks this year or future picks in 2023. Who would you rather have going forward in Dynasty, Dobbins or Gibson?
Gibson by a mile. Like JK tore his ACL. Appreciate you, Corey. JK tore his ACL. He's coming back from a torn ACL. JK Dobbins. Let me put JK up on here. We got to rant on JK Dobbins for a second because his value is getting out of control. JK Dobbins not only is coming back from a torn ACL, okay? Not only is he sharing carries because that's what the Ravens do.
You've just been
He also gets vultured touchdowns from Lamar Jackson.
You've just been
Tell me where the upside is with J.K. Dobbins. He's already thought to be injury prone. He was talked about as injury prone. We knew he would potentially be injury prone. Would he stay healthy? He's sharing carries. He's getting touchdowns vultured. He's in a running back by committee, and he's coming back from an ACL tear. There's literally no upside to J.K. Dobbins. I don't understand where this is coming from Dynasty or from redraft, because he's got a long road ahead of him to get a hold of consistency or to stay healthy. Give me Gibson. And Gibson's got concern too. I'm not like ultra excited about Gibson's failed season where he comes in last year and disappoints all of us, but Gibson's got more upside. Cuff him to Jarrett Patterson won't be hard to do. And I think you got a really good, secure running back between the two of them. McKissick as well, but I don't know. I just J.K. Dobbins is not. I'm not a huge believer that he's in a good situation. I'm staying clear of that. Another question. I think we got to Caden's.
What's going on, Smitty?
I think we got this one.
So now that Ronald Jones,
yeah, we got Terry Roberts, last one of the day.
Smitty, you brought up some good points about Hill being gone and the use of CEH for KC this coming up year. Where exactly do you see him being drafted at for value?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that right now, but we haven't seen Clyde go in the top 5 rounds yet in our mock drafts, like at least very frequently. So 6th, 7th, 8th round, and that's baked in value. Like that's a starting running back in the NFL in one of the best offenses in the NFL, even with Hill gone. And he's going in like 6, 7 round range because people are so fed up with what they got out of him last year. So I love Clyde. Like, especially if you get Clyde in that, like, you go one running back, you build wide receivers, tight end, quarterback, and you skip the running back 2 option. You're like, now you got to fill it with Tony Pollard, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and A.J. Dillon. And now you have this little platoon here where Clyde's got upside, maybe not a guarantee of any kind, but he's got upside to fill that platoon, that running back 2 spot. So absolutely love that. Appreciate everybody here today. We didn't get too much of the quarterback stuff. We did talk about the NFC, the AFC. Ultimately, where do we value Burrow, real quickly before we leave? Burrow versus Mahomes in Dynasty and then in redraft. You got to think that maybe Burrow's got the edge in 2022. He's got Jamar Chase coming on strong. He's got an approved offensive line already, and we haven't even approached the NFL draft. It'll get even better. We've got just Higgins and Mixon and still in his prime. How many years left does Mixon have? We don't know. How many years left does Kelsey have? We don't know. Will the Chiefs grab a Burks or a Drake London or a wide receiver that can develop with Mahomes for the next handful of years? I think that the landscape could change very drastically for Mahomes in terms of getting bad or getting better or replenishing the missing pieces maybe. But Kelsey's not a spring chicken. He's getting older. Hill is gone. It's hard to believe KC will truly replenish the talent pool enough to replace Kelsey and Hill. Like, trying to replace Hill is tough enough, but in the next 1 year to 2 years, Kelsey's going to start going down. It happens. Every elite player drops off. No one thought Antonio Gates would ever decline. He did. It's going to happen with Kelsey. It could start happening this year. He could start missing games this year. I am not a big advocate of taking Kelsey in round 1 now just because Hill is gone. Guys, the Chiefs were able to feed everybody properly. Kelsey's not in a position where he needs to eat more. He was eating plenty. And if you give him more work, with more defensive attention, because defenses are now going to key on Kelce all the time. He's going to take bigger hits. He's going to be overused, and he's going to probably be more susceptible to getting hurt in 2022 with Hill not in KC. Hill not in KC is not good. It's not good for Travis Kelce. Everyone thinks it's good. Everyone's drafting Kelce in the top 12 now. Kelce was at the turn in the second, third round for me. 2.10 to 2.12. And he stays there for me. He doesn't climb up because Hill departed. He doesn't. I don't see it as a good thing. I'm not on board for it being a, hey, let's move Kelce up. No, not for me. And so for Dynasty and Redraft, I'm going to say Burrow over Mahomes. I'm going to say Burrow at number 3. I'll say Josh Allen and Herbert are my 1 and 2 in Dynasty. That doesn't change in Redraft or Dynasty. This doesn't change in Redraft or Dynasty. Mahomes right now is my number 4 quarterback in Redraft and Dynasty. Go forward. Burrow is my number 3. Trey Lance is going to be in the mix for that 5-7 range. Russell Wilson for the next 3 years is in that 4 to 7 range or 5 to 7 range for quarterbacks. You've got a handful of guys like Watson that are going to flirt with that area. Of course, you've got Stafford and Brady and Aaron Rodgers for 2022. But what happens in 2-3 years from now? Is Trevor Lawrence going to climb up? Is Zach Wilson going to climb up? Will Malik Willis be good enough? Are there other quarterbacks that I haven't mentioned that you're going to flip out about? I'm not trying to leave anybody out or say that that's the sum total not going to change. Kyler, Lamar, Dak Prescott. I get it. These are all very viable options to be listed 5 to 7. I'm not against anybody liking Lamar at 5 to 7, but me personally, I've seen Lamar drop too many significant games in a row, half of a season, where he doesn't do anything, or see him struggle. He runs 150 to 160 times a season. He's open and susceptible to injuries, and if you dial back his running, he doesn't do well. They've tried it before to contain Lamar Jackson. Let's run him less. He plays awful. He's not a great passer. He's a good passer and a great runner, and sum total becomes a great quarterback in fantasy. But you dial back his running, he gets hurt trying to run. It's gonna fall apart. I'm avoiding Lamar. Kyler, same kind of concept. Like, I like Kyler's ability. I love his talent, but he runs. He needs to run. He needs to escape. He doesn't like getting hit. Tries to roll out of the pocket every time because he can't throw and see over his offensive line, and he needs to connect on Hopkins outside of the pocket. And when you take that away, he's very easy to contain. He's very injury prone, or he will be because of his size over the next couple years. So Lamar and Kyler, it's not that I don't like running quarterbacks. I love Josh Allen. I love the fact that Herbert and Burrow can both punch in touchdowns. I love Russell Wilson, who can get up and go. I love Lance. Lance is going to be a good running quarterback, could run for 700 yards and 8 TDs in any given season. I'm not against running quarterbacks. I just think Kyler and Lamar will be susceptible. I like Deshaun Watson a lot, but what's going on legally with him? Will he lose an edge if he misses yet another half of a season or more? Because the NFL is going to probably suspend him at the very least if he doesn't get put on the exempt list. We'll see how that shakes out. It's a tough ranking. Quarterbacks is not an easy thing right now, and everybody's ranking will be a little bit different than everybody else's, so everyone should chill. If you've got Dak at 5 and someone's got Dak at 9, it doesn't make you wrong or right or them wrong or right. It's very, very close. In fact, the top 7 to 12 could be within 20, 30 points, or the 9 to 15 could be between 20 and 30 points. So let's relax on who's for sure right and who's for sure wrong. It's okay to have different rankings. For me, I've got Herbie number 1 in 2022 and in Dynasty, but I go back and forth between Herbie and Josh Allen. I'm not going to lie. The wind blows a certain way. Josh Allen comes right out of my mouth. I love both these dudes. They're the top 2 tier break. Then I've got Burrow, a baby step below them, in his own tier with Mahomes, but slightly ahead of Mahomes. Then another tier break. And then for me, Russell Wilson, Trey Lance, and probably Watson. That's my next tier after the second tier of Mahomes and Burrow, which is after the tier of Josh Allen and Herbert. That's my quarterback ranking for the now, for the future. Obviously, Watson, you move down because of the 2022 potential missed games, and you have to react accordingly. But talent-wise per game, I think he is ranking in that third tier. That's how I see it. Subscribe if you're new. Punch that thumbs up on your way out.
Hit that subscribe button if you're new, and wipe your feet at the door.
And don't forget to get on over to my ranking site, my bold prediction site, my text line. If you want to have one-on-one on-demand text service with me, your boy Smitty, you just got to go to sleeperu.com and order my top-level lifetime membership and never pay for rankings, content, bold predictions, trade calculators, dynasty rankings, super rookie rankings, rookie analysis, all kinds of stuff. Lifetime video courses. I just dropped my first How to Dominate the 1.1 video course on sleeperu.com. I've also got the 2 teaser free courses, the two-headed monster and the two-headed wide receiver monster videos to kind of give people a sense of what the video courses will be like. So go to the video course section of sleeperu.com. Where?
Want bold year-round rankings, trade calculators, and bold predictions? Get on over to sleeperu.com.
Appreciate everybody being here. We're here every Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. And then your boy Smitty does all kinds of emergency live streams. We go live all the time. All the time. If there's something breaking, we go live. So if you're sitting there at home and some big player gets traded and you're like, man, wonder where I can find information on this. Think, oh, my boy Smitty's probably live right now because he walks into the studio the moment news breaks and goes live. And I also upload all kinds of post-production content multiple times per week. I'm dropping over 365 videos a year here on the channel. My goal is to drop 500 videos on the entire season. That includes the live streams Monday through Friday. Get some. Drop a comment on your way out. I'll throw it onto the screen later.